Welcome back to Talkville. Tom Welling, we've got him here via Zoom.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, yes, Ryan Tejas.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Ryan's really excited because he's got a new car.
What'd you get? Well, can you say?
I got a Subaru Forester.
Wow.
2021. By the way, have you noticed them dimming every once in a while?
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
It could be one of the lights going bad.
Yeah. Sometimes I think it's like a phantom thing.
But which one is it? Can you try to pay attention to see?
We can edit this part out, right?
Yeah. All right, let's start over. Welcome back to Talkville, folks, the ultimate Smallville rewatch podcast where each week we go back, way back. We watch episodes. Sometimes they're great. Sometimes they're shite. And we try to tell it how it is and recall anything that we can remember about the show, which is difficult sometimes. But you guys seem to remember everything, and it's always a joy. That's why we're having patrons on patreon.com/talkville to support the podcast. Keep it going. If you want this show to keep going, join Patreon, support the show. Picture it like a streaming service because it really helps and it will keep us going. Patreon.com/talkville.
We always learn a little something when people call in, don't we?
Oh, yes. And we'll have our Patreon guest on very soon. If you can get a chance to call in our hotline, leave a question for this episode, make sure you do for future ones. All that and info and more is down in this show's description. Please write a review. If you haven't read a review, everybody today, go write a review and we'll peak. We'll go to the top of the charts, and that's a good thing. So Ryan's here. Ryan, good to see you.
Hi, good to see you guys.
Tommy.
Hello. Thanks for having me. Ryan, congratulations on your new purchase, your vehicle.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, the new car.
I feel good. I've had the same car for 12 years.
I feel good.
It's nice to upgrade finally. So
good
yeah.
for you. His whole disposition was just glowing. He was glowing yesterday when we were doing Inside of You.
Why didn't you just give him your van? I mean, it's just taking up room in your driveway. I go there. I try to park.
You have
nothing.
to keep it charged. You come once a year. What are you talking about? Oh, real quick plug. Guys, my book is out for pre-order. It's out. Go to Amazon and type in The Talented Farter or Michael Rosenbaum. It's a hardback. It's hilarious. It's got sounds. They're all original farts. It's a great gift. You're going to love it. The illustrations are amazing. The Talented Farter is on Amazon now. Support. Please support. It's my first book, and I think you're going to love it.
What goes into the process for the original farts?
What happened was John and Dan Heater, Napoleon Dynamite. So I'm good friends with him and his twin brother. And I would just fart in the phone sometimes and send them a fart just as like a, hey, good morning. And they would text me back, that sounds exactly like fireworks in the distance. That sounds like a floor creaking. And I got this idea for a book about this kid who's a talented farter, and his farts sound like things that you use or hear every day. And so he's got his only talent in life is that. So
are these it's a book of farts from your text combo with the Heaters?
Yeah, they're real farts. Yeah, they're the farts that I chose, and it's a blast. The book, I couldn't be happier. It's really amazing. I never thought it would come out this good.
I gotta read the book, but is he able to adapt his farts to what he eats?
No, but that's the next book. Thank you.
Oh, good.
All right, without further ado, let's get into season 5, episode 6. This is called Exposed. Title Exposed aired November 3rd, 2005. Director Juno Schwartz. Writers Brian Peterson, Kelly Souders. Guest star Tom Wopat as Senator Jack Jennings. Jill Teet as Maggie Sawyer. Woody Jeffries as Mr. Lyon. Synopsis: Smallville gets down and dirty as a fatal investigation amidst Lex Luthor's blossoming political career uncovers criminal and international cover-ups.
Lot going on here.
The episode opens with Chloe pulling an all-nighter at the Daily Planet. She's blowing off Lois for their girls' night out, but Lois is just happy that she's finally moving out of the Kents and into the Talon. Their combo gets interrupted with a frantic call by someone pleading for a reporter's help. However, when the girls get there, they see the caller get absolutely T-boned by an SUV. If only she had called the police instead of the newspaper.
Yeah. Was I the only one who was like, why are you calling a reporter, not the police? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why she did it unless she's like, a reporter has to do this story. The story has to be, I want a reporter. And then maybe she called, I don't know.
Does she know the cops are in their pockets, maybe? Corrupt.
Oh.
Bryce?
Oh, no. That car hit was pretty gruesome, though, because They didn't like
It was
cut away.
great.
They just showed a dummy get rolled over.
Actually, Ryan, I
liked
think
it.
you're right, because at the end of the episode, we find something out about the guy that the police can't do
Right.
much. So this girl's,
Right.
okay.
Oh yeah, that was dumb how that wraps up.
Well, thanks for joining us, folks.
The next day, Clark is back on the farm helping his father with chores. They get interrupted by a hazardous driver peeling into the lot. It's Senator Jack Jennings, who wants to
That was
milk the
cool.
Kents for their farming relationships for an upcoming election against Lex Luthor.
John told me recently at a con that because we brought this up, this specific episode, and he said that was actually a General Lee that the show painted blue and then had to paint back to General Lee just to use it, which sounds
Are
ridiculous,
you
but
serious?
they wanted that car. And I guess it was, locally sourced in Vancouver. So I don't know. I guess they convinced themselves it was cost effective, but that's an actual General Lee car. And I love this banter between the two of them because I thought it was cool.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, it was cool.
I mean, if you're going to have, John's co-star from Dukes of Hazzard come into the scene, you want him peeling in like a
Yeah,
sick
and they
car.
did a couple of shots, a couple of references. They do a couple like Dukes of Hazzard shots of the car jumping and all that stuff. It's fun.
Over in Metropolis, Detective Sawyer tries to get any information out of Chloe with relation to the hit and run on the Lady of the Night. Even though she is normally nosy and into everyone's business, this time Chloe is completely unhelpful with the crime being reported. And after the detective leaves, Chloe and Lois run the girl's number in an attempt to retrace her steps that fatal night, and that leads them to the Gentleman's Club. And this is where all hell breaks loose.
Back on the farm, Jonathan is reliving his glory days with the senator until Detective Sawyer comes looking for him. Based on the dead girl having a photo with the senator, she believes he could have something to do with it. However, he tries to play off the image as Photoshop or AI mudslinging from Lex.
That night, Clark heads to Luthor Mansion to question Lex about his new career in politics. Clark accuses Lex of framing the senator, but Lex defends himself and uses his vast knowledge of local strip clubs to help Clark identify where the picture was taken based on the booths photographed.
Well, he's got that briefcase full of all these cards.
Yeah,
Like, all
I
these
happen to have this
exclusive-
card. Here's this card for this gentleman's club that I go to. Because in past episodes, Lex is a bit of a player. So,
I mean, he's got a gift card for TGI Fridays in there, too.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
I saw it.
Look,
yeah, I think it's perfectly all right.
Do you guys notice when the Metropolis PD shows up? Maybe this is the first time I've noticed it, but it's the symbol of the ship, the badge itself.
I think this is that same actress that was like married to one of the crew members, right? She's been in
Chris.
a couple
Yes.
other episodes.
The detective, yeah, Chris, our steady cam guy and B camera operator. Yeah, good guy. Lex leaves to pay a visit to Jonathan Kent. After telling Lex how much he dislikes him, Jonathan vouches for the senator and can't believe that he would be involved in killing hookers. Lex replies by dropping receipts of all records from the senator to his lady friend. The good old boy line delivery. Do I remember it on the day? Feels like it might be the first time Lex makes a pun like this. I just wanted to throw it away. I kind of just like, the good old boy. I knew what they were doing, and I was like, fuck, all right. Yeah, I just.
Well,
threw it
that's one of
away.
those lines that's not really for Lex; it's for the viewers. So throwing
Yeah.
it away, I think, is the way to do it. Yeah.
over at the strip club, Chloe and Lois attempt to make their way in to find evidence. However, they are stopped at the front door. This forces them to go full showgirls and pretend to be dancers to get in. They make their way backstage, and after being caught snooping through records, Chloe pretends that Lois is the replacement dancer for the one that was roadkill the night before. Moments later, Lois hits the stage with her star-spangled banners for the crowd to watch her ramparts.
I just
boy.
couldn't in watching this, I couldn't help but wonder about all the wonderful families that come to the cons and meet us with their kids, and they're sitting down watching Smallville, and they get to season 5, and then they're like, "Cover your eyes." Like this is pretty intense.
I mean, it was, I mean, look, it was a different time, but yeah, it was, and it was gratuitous, like,
It was.
just like the whole backstage. I don't know.
I just didn't.
It
Think
didn't feel like Smallville.
it didn't. It just was. It was trying way too hard.
Yeah.
She performs a tasteful patriotic striptease for all in attendance, including Clark Kent, who nervously orders a Coke on the rocks. Tom, do you have any memories of this day?
I do have a couple. Obviously, Jeannot is in his element in the best way.
The director, yeah.
But I remember that there were so many people. I mean, Michael, you know this, and many. they spend so much time setting up a wide shot of the environment, like when we do the prom things or even this, and they take like 2 hours to do that shot that's used for 3 seconds, and they never cut back to it. And that's nobody's fault. That's just the nature of the being. But then you get to the actor's performance, and they're like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. We're out of time. And I remember this taking all day. Erica nailed all her stuff. I think she had been rehearsing for like a week or two to nail her stuff. Like that was all fine. But I just remember the environment. I was just like, this is taking forever. Like it really was.
Yeah. And it just felt hokey. I think Erica did a great job. She committed, and that's important.
Yeah.
And once she got into it, it was cool and it was nice to see, but it didn't fit the show. But she
well, it was supposed to feel hokey, right? It was supposed to feel like unnatural and not normal.
Yeah.
Especially to Clark.
It wasn't supposed to be like a sexy striptease. Like
I
it was
get
supposed
it.
to
It
impress
wasn't
all
that.
the
It was just
patrons.
the whole scene just made me kind of uncomfortable.
Well, it's kind of funny at the beginning, like she was just very stilted and like not like trying to like play the part and like just didn't know all the sexy moves. But then it was kind of funny how suddenly she goes over the pole.
Then she just got in.
Like the hardest part to do when you're like doing a striptease or a dance.
Yeah.
And she was nailing the pole part.
Yeah. All of a sudden.
Suddenly she's a natural.
It is Ryan's favorite scene.
Maybe.
I mean, is it okay? Last thing, is it also part of it because Clark and Lois are always like kind of like at odds, and then this is them trying to like get Clark like interested in Lois and like have her be hot a little bit because they're just kind of
100%.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
We can move on.
Yes, please. Please move on.
Inside the club, Clark uses super hearing to overhear the club owner talking to some Russian businessman about $500,000 and procuring the girls. Before he can take action, though, Metropolis PD raids the place and Clark gets put in handcuffs. While Clark snoops on a conversation with the bouncer, seemingly clearing the senator of any wrongdoing, Chloe stays backstage to get any information on the crash test dummy victim from the night before. She learns that Leon? Or is it Leon or Lion?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
She learns that Leon, the Russian businessman, has a knack for making dancers disappear. Unfortunately, Lois has escaped with him that night.
Yes. Before they leave the club, Chloe and Clark try to get the detectives' help with Lois. And while they're used to the warmth of the local Smallville sheriff, this time they're scolded for their involvement and told to put an egg in their shoe and beat it.
The next day on the Kent farm, Jonathan is back to his nasty habits of whipping around in cars. He picks up the senator and they set out to recreate the Dukes of Hazzard. During their drive, the senator reveals everything about his adulterous relationship with the dead stripper and his sham marriage.
I felt like the conversation, I don't know if it was now or whatever, but in the car with Tom, and I thought Tom Wopat did a great job of delivering these lines. It was poignant and it reflected like Tiger Woods kind of esque. It's like when you're put on a pedestal and people are just waiting for you to fail, and it puts a lot of pressure on you and all these things. And I'm not it just, I don't know, it made you think people make mistakes in their lives. People aren't perfect, and maybe he has some great qualities, but he's he has this addiction on the side, or he likes to do this, or I don't know the answers, but I don't know, it was a really good conversation with those guys.
I agree. And one of the things he didn't play was self-pity. He was caught and he was sort of like, okay, he owned it. And I think that was refreshing. And I think looking at John Schneider, being in a car with John Schneider, he's going to make you own it. And I think their relationship was that good. It was great seeing these guys together doing their thing.
Is this something Schneider pitched or asked for? This is so on the nose with all the references. It feels like they haven't done a Dukes callback in a few seasons. I don't know.
Yeah, is this like something of the time that people were asking for? Like,
no, I just thought
I don't understand why
John,
they were so
why not
on
put
the
an
head
episode
with it?
in with his sidekick, and they probably thought they'd get Dukes of Hazzard fans to watch it and get a new audience.
I grew up on Dukes of Hazzard, so watching this, I really enjoyed it. How it came about, I bet Alan Miles figured it out for some reason.
So Lois gets brought back to Leon's penthouse. Leon. Inside, she sees a closet full of little red dresses and serial killer-like shoeboxes full of girls' belongings. She attempts to make a break for it, but is stopped short when Lex Luthor tases her ass.
Similar to their days putting pieces back together in the torch, Clark and Chloe reconvene in the Daily Planet to figure out
Wait a minute.
What?
Oh, yeah, it wasn't Lex Luthor. I was like, what? So it was just a bald guy. You're making fun of me. I see what you're doing, Bryce, you son of a bee.
Similar to their days putting pieces together in the Torch, Clark and Chloe reconvene in the Daily Planet to figure out what sort of ring of missing girls Leon has been creating. They pin down Leon's location, and Clark super speeds into action, only to find the place empty and evidence of them trying to smuggle Lois out of the country. Clark goes full Liam Neeson by tracking down Lois and stopping Leon's helicopter before they can evacuate. Lois throws more blows inside the chopper, and they apprehend the Russian bad guy.
Listen to me. They're going to take you in a chopper. Listen to me. They're going to take you away.
I will kill you.
I have skills I have acquired. However, in a crazy turn of events, the detective shows up with her black turtleneck to inform Lois and Clark that Leon has diplomatic immunity and can't be charged even if he was trying to sex traffic American citizens. What the hell?
The helicopter stuff was cool, though. That was
The
crazy.
helicopter stuff was really cool. Do you remember that, Tom? It must have taken a long time.
I kind of remember, yeah, that was a full day of shooting. I remember getting up on that rooftop and being like, this is a cool view. And then a helicopter came in and one of the things about it when you're working with helicopters is, safety is, number one plus one. There's not a lot of rhythm to the day because the helicopters got everybody's attention. And so it's kind of a lot of stop and starting. You can't really do too many things in a row because you got a helicopter flying right there. So it's a different kind of stunt day.
How do they make it kind of like jerked? You see it when I went,
Yeah.
that was cool. I don't know how they did that.
They did that digitally. I just watched it again. I think that's just digital.
Yeah, it looked cool though, right?
Yeah.
It was dope. Back in Smallville, Clark pays a visit to thank Lex for his help seeking out the truth in Metropolis. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 20 times, shame on Lex. Lex isn't buying it and tells Clark that he's fed up with being accused every friggin' episode. And stop knocking me out while you're at it.
Clark arrives home and relates to the senator as they compare Jonathan Kent's way of guilt-tripping and fear of disappointment. The senator tells Clark he's pulling out of the race, leaving the fate of Kansas in the hands of his bald bestie. Before the senator heads back into town, he tells Jonathan that maybe he should consider a future in politics, representing the people of Kansas.
I know it's setting it up. And Tom talked about it earlier, or he said something, maybe it was before the podcast, about how he watched the wrong episode and all this stuff. But I don't like the idea of Jonathan Kent running for Senate.
Why
I think
not?
It's just so cheesy. It makes he's a simple farm boy, He's
that's the appeal.
That's his take. I get it, but senator, it's just not something he would want to do. He hates all that stuff. He hates the politics and the Luthers and all these things, and running against me is just running against Lex. Sorry, it just seems like it's why would he want to get involved with this? He knows that if he does, bad things probably will happen. It just
right.
doesn't make
It's kind of confusing. Is I thought that's what this episode was trying to do. Is his old friend that used to be wholesome got into politics and now he's going to strip clubs and cheating on his wife. You would think that would scare Jonathan for wanting to do it.
Well, also we're going to find out later that Lionel feels the same way about Lex getting in to politics, that it might ruin him. He's going to try to conquer the world. So there's a duality here, and in real life we have so many great options now for people running for office. Maybe Jonathan Kent wouldn't be so bad.
I guarantee nowadays, if the show was filmed, first of all, you wouldn't have the strip scene and all that stuff. I don't think, unless it was a streamer. And it wouldn't have been Jonathan running for senator. It would have been Martha.
Yeah.
I'd
vote for Martha.
I'd vote for her too. I think
Martha should absolutely be running for office.
Yes.
What are we doing?
Yeah. Martha's brilliant and she's tough and she wouldn't take any crap and
that's
she doesn't have a hard problem.
And she
doesn't have a hard problem.
Or an anger issue.
She's worked in the corporate world. She's got the farm.
Or anger issues.
Oh my God. She's got the best of both worlds.
The episode ends with Clark helping Lois move out of the Kent farm and into the Talon loft. Lois reassures Clark that she's not replacing Lana, even though we don't see her this entire episode. Chloe gleefully barges in to share her new story in the Daily Planet about the murdered stripper. After Chloe leaves, Lois thanks Clark for the help and tells him to keep the lap dance between them.
I think we've come across a new T-shirt option. Vote for Martha.
Vote for Martha.
Vote for Martha.
Bryce had another one too. Bryce, what was your T-shirt idea?
Oh, someone wrote in. It was welcome to Talkville, choke slams and hand blasts.
Choke slams and hand blasts. I love it. I think it's hilarious. It's
See
so
you in
funny,
court.
dude. Closing thoughts. Is it explained at all why Martha's not in the episode at all? No, it's not. Smallville has graduated from episode about school elections to international sex trafficking. Is this the first episode without Lana? It might be. I don't remember. Interesting things of note. The name on Lois's fake passport is Margot Neal, an allusion to two of the actresses that played Lois Lane in the past, Margot Kidder and Noelle Neal. Actress Brandy Alexander, who played Angel, one of the strippers in this episode, also played one of the sorority girls in season 4 episode Recruit.
Huh.
She's been cast some really great roles. I'm sure she loved them.
I'm sure she's doing okay. I hope she's doing okay.
I hope she's doing great. I'm just saying, I don't think I'm not sure she likes the roles.
Probably not.
You know, Detective Sawyer also appears in Insurgents, Exile, and Descent. And as of this episode, Clark and Lex are the only two members of the original main cast who have appeared in every episode.
Wow.
Interesting. Overall, it's like, I feel like this episode is merely forgettable. Just absolutely forgettable. I get the Dukes thing, but
What's the big picture theme in this one? It's a bit elusive to me. Like what's our takeaway?
I don't know. What is the big picture?
Well, thinking about it now, they did a lot in this episode to sort of say like, hey, we're not in high school anymore. This is an adult show now. So we're going to strip clubs. We got sex trafficking. We got like a woman getting run over. We got politics, like
lap dances.
Yeah. So I think this was maybe just like an attempt, like maybe someone somewhere was just like, they're adults now.
Let's do adult things.
We got to do adult things.
Sex trafficking.
Lots of boobs.
Lap dancers. Yeah, we got to do this. Bros hanging out and driving cars.
Let's have them witness a murder.
Yeah. Damn, who's that? Adult version of damn. Who's that, Jonathan?
This is a couple back-to-back super adult, because the episode before was the jacuzzi scene, and now
but that was college-y. It wasn't really adult. It was kind of like immature adult.
It was like, what is a 13-year-old hope college is like?
Talkville is brought to you by, you guessed it, AG1. We talk about this all the time, Tom, and I'm telling you, if you want to get a new routine going in your life, something healthy, something different, a better choice, AG1 is there for you. Instead of taking all these pills that, you need this and you need that, these vitamins, you could just have a glass of water with 1 scoop of AG1, and you're getting so much. You're getting, each serving of AG1 helps deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre and probiotics, and more. It's a powerful habit that's also powerfully simple.
Yeah, you can cut this if you want, but I'll just say, like, I take AG1 all the time. We talk about it all the time. And there was actually another product that I gave a shot. And the reason I walk away from it is you couldn't stir it down to the consistency that AG1 has. It was just too hard to drink. And AG1 is the simplest thing to drink I think I've ever taken.
Taking care of your health isn't always easy, but it should be at least simple. That's why for the last, I don't know how many years, we've been drinking AG1 every day, no exceptions. It's just 1 scoop mixed in with water once a day, every day, and it helps make me feel fantastic. I have more energy. I'm clear-minded. These are great things to feel every day of your life. And start a new routine, like I said, it's important. If there's one product I had to recommend to elevate your health, it's AG1, and that's why we've partnered with them for so long. So if you want to take ownership of your health, start with AG1. Just try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/talkville. That's drinkag1.com/talkville. Check it out. This show is sponsored by Betterhelp. Betterhelp is so important to me. It's so important to so many others out there. Ryan, it's something that I believe strongly in. They've been our sponsor for a long time, and therapy truly helps, and you should give it a shot. Look, does social media make it seem like everyone else is living this fabulous, amazing life while yours is not quite that. Comparison is the thief of joy, and it's easy to envy other people's lives. It might look like they have it all together, but in reality, they probably don't. Therapy from Betterhelp can help you focus on what you want instead of what others have, so you can start living your best life. Therapy is helpful for learning positive coping skills, how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. And it's not just for those who've experienced major trauma. Therapy from Betterhelp can help every single one of us. If you are thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. You just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. I think that's what's great about it. If you're not vibing with someone, you change it. There's no questions asked.
Stop comparing and start focusing with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/talkville today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/talkville.
All right, we've got a great guest. Come on, you love her. We love her. Lois freaking Lane's here. Erica Durance. Hi, Erica.
Hi, guys. Oh, well, thank you for the round of applause, Tom.
Thanks for being here. I know you're busy. I know you got a lot going on. You got the Smallville flannel going on. I
do.
It.
Yeah, it's my lady shawl that I've been wearing around Whistler.
I love it.
Yeah, cute, right?
So we wanted to get into an episode today that was, we were definitely like, oh my God, the things you had to endure, and the episode's, exposed. And
it was exposing. It felt exposed.
The one thing we actually appreciate is your level of commitment and how you owned it. But it was just like, it had to be nerve wracking. And when you read the script and you're like, are you freaking kidding me? What was your first reaction?
One of no surprise. I was like, okay. And you know what? When I first read it, of course, they included the part of the scene where Lois gets up there and she thinks she's doing really great, and then she bails on stage. And it was supposed to be comedic. But then they just cut out the comedy, and then I just looked like a stripper, which isn't a bad thing, but it wasn't what my aim was.
Which isn't a bad thing.
Sold it. They sold it to me. They were like, okay. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be so funny. She's going to think she's awesome. She's going to get ahead of herself and then do something stupid and have to crawl off stage. And we filmed all of that. I don't know if you remember that, Tom, but we did. And I was so kind of happy about that. And then in the final edit, I was just very good at stripping.
Were you nervous?
Yes. I was so nauseous. Yeah. It's, like I said, I've said a million times to you guys, I grew up in a really conservative upbringing. So this was very, very much a big deal.
First time on stage like that?
Yeah, first time. And then, I was like, this is working. No,
Were your parents, did your parents watch it or did you tell them don't watch it?
No, they didn't watch it. I don't think. My mom would have been well,
I just think that you had this great sort of towing the line of her being fish out of water, just as Clark was as well in the same situation. I thought you did a great job that way, and I think it worked. And I remember that taking all day.
Yes.
All day. And directed it, so he was there to...
That made it.
Yeah.
What would you do if James Marshall would have directed it? Would it have been a different episode?
Yes. Yes, he had to come and see me while I practiced to make sure I knew what I was doing.
Of course he did. Hey, let me ask you this.
It would have been really strange if Lois got up there and just nailed it, though. That would have been weird.
Yeah.
But that's the thing.
What I mean?
It's kind of there's a moment where I'm nervous, but then she was just kind of too awesome. Also, as a side note, just to throw out there to any exotic dancers in the world, you're athletes.
Oh,
you're
yeah.
really good at
No, they're
strong.
amazing.
They're amazing. My acquaintance at the time took me and trained me to do. There's half the stuff I couldn't even aim to do.
Pole dancing is really difficult. I tried it once. It's very hard.
It's very hard.
No, I
You have to have
did.
a lot of
I
upper
did.
body strength.
I dated a girl who did it, and she had a pole at her house. And I tried it, and I was like, oh my gosh, you have to have a lot of strength and
courage. Lots of courage.
Well, you were like, Michael's like, this is too hard on my back. Can you show me how you do it?
Yeah. Now it's hard on my mind.
Yeah.
Let me ask you
Clever
this.
as always.
Let me ask you this. First of all, well, also just to finish on that note, was it something that you had weeks to prepare for, and did you work out like crazy
No, like everything in Smallville, I had zero time to prepare, right? You would get, like, sometimes you got your scene the morning of. But I would say I got maybe a week and a half. But let's be honest, guys, you saw me at that time. I was always preparing for potentially having to take my clothes off. And the prep wasn't great because I was always drinking coffee and eating very little food. So you guys got the extremes of my sugar crash and coffee highs. And
when you're eating like that and you're like just drinking coffee, were you jittery and like?
Well, ask Tom. Was I fun? I was jittery.
Oh yeah, high energy all the time. It was great because but it worked for your character too because she was such a high frequency sort of type A kind of person. So it worked. I mean,
it ended up working.
I remember also we did the Aquaman episode. And yes. I remember you coming to set and like we were doing something. And then you were in your bikini and you were like, yep. Like you were like, yeah, they couldn't find a smaller one. Like it was like,
oh my God.
Yeah.
But it is part of my personality. Like I'm constantly in conflict with myself anyway. I'm a Gemini. So there's part of me that's like, yes, I need to do this. It scares me. And then when I'm going to do it, I was like, I really shouldn't be doing this. Why am I doing this? So it is kind of how
that's how you
live
operate.
my whole life. But I do think there's something about doing some things that scare you. And that scared me a lot.
Yeah. Facing your fears is a big, it's when you fear something, a lot of times you want to get away from it, fight or flight. But when you embrace it and you work on it, and it's so much more rewarding when you do it and you say, hey, I accomplished that. Now, with me, unfortunately, you think that once you accomplish something that you work hard for, you'd say, okay, I can always do this. But you always go back to that same place of insecurity every time and build it up again. And it's like you wish you'd always have the confidence and you didn't need it. And you have to fight through all those insecurities and fears.
Well, I also, Michael, you and I've talked about this before, where some people, the process
or the process
is what gets you focused. Or you process. If sometimes people have to get frustrated to get focused, and it's a lot of wasted energy. Some people have to be scared to get focused, and you just have to figure out how you like to work.
Yep.
And almost step back sometimes and be like, "Is this just me doing this, or do I really need all this?" Or I'm not saying you can fix it.
Don't you think it changes over time, though? Like I feel, for me, as I've gotten older, and certain things have happened that I feared or I was anxious about so many things, and then. You just, whether you like it or not in life, you just keep going. Yeah. So it could be like a particularly humiliating experience, or it could be tragic, or it could be super funny. And if you're healthy, you just keep going. And so then you realize, oh, the world did not end, even though I had created all of this fear around it.
That's true. I mean, you will not die. You may fail miserably. You may look like an idiot. You may be embarrassed. You may feel shame. But I always say those moments are fleeting. They're ephemeral. They're not going to last forever. Move on and do your. So let me ask you this: knowing that Clark and Lois would inevitably be an item, what were your thoughts and feelings as the seasons progressed and the storyline started pushing more in that direction?
I was curious as to how they were going to kind of create a little longevity there, make it fresh, keep it fresh. How I was going to be able to keep some of those situations interesting, so that I wouldn't always play the same beat, because sometimes the situations are quite similar as well, right? Because they know that is working and people love that recipe, but then you don't want to constantly do the exact same thing. And so I think I was pretty curious about how they were going to kind of tie it all up, and I was often pretty excited on the show about what was going to happen.
Also, like Lois was the only character really where you got to see Clark have a sense of humor, and you brought that out in that relationship, the teasing and that sort of thing. So that was always fun.
Yeah. Did you ever, do you remember the first time you had to kiss Tom?
I think, yes. And part of it was because I think it was the Crimson episode. And it was also because I was
Glenn.
So, And you know how they create, situations so that you can be like supercharged. So you can't even be like kind of calm about it. You're like, you have to be full on. And so when it was it was like red kryptonite or something. And so then it was like very intense. And I think that there was part of me also, because I am, believe it or not, kind of shy. So like when I knew stuff like that was going to be happening, I knew everybody else was like, oh, they're going to kiss this episode. And so then there was part of me that was like, oh, do we have to make such a big deal out of it? Like,
How were his
Well,
lips?
I remember, because you were very much on board. And this is why I like
supple.
to, what But you and I are very much alike in that we will say to a director, what's the shot? What do you need? So we can do it.
Yeah.
But don't just sit there and be like, go ahead, guys, see what happens. It's like, it's a visual medium. We're in control of this. And so it's it's orchestrating sort of a dance or a ballet a lot of times. And then you go and do it. And then you're kind of like, okay, we're done.
And what I will say about you is you didn't eat my face. And like sometimes.
Thank God. Gross.
That takes technique as a guy because guys are bigger than girls, right? So you have to be aware of like how big your face is compared to theirs.
I know exactly the clip that Bryce is going to use from this interview. We just heard it.
But it takes technique to know how to not do this thing because on TV, certain things just look frightening and they might feel natural, but they look weird.
Less is better, even with kissing. They definitely try to sexualize the Lois character this season in episodes like Aqua and Expose, but then they tone it down through the rest of season 5. Do you remember having conversations about it? Were you concerned? Did you put up a stink? Did you have these or did you just say, hey, whatever happens, happens?
I couldn't have conversations like that. I was number 8 on the call sheet.
Why?
We had Kristen on too, and she said the same thing. Like no one ever wanted to hear what she had to say about it.
No, because it was I was at that point there wasn't the level of influence that I would have had, I think, to really say, hey, I'm not doing this thing. Plus, at the time, it didn't really bug me so much, if that's weird. Like, sometimes I'll look back in hindsight and go, oh, what motivated me to do these? Why did I do this stuff? And I figured all that stuff out and unpacked it for myself, right? But at the time, other than feeling occasionally like, well, I'm the only girl that's taking her clothes off. Maybe I have absolutely no standards.
I bet that changed though.
I was just like, but I'm making so much money.
But I bet the older you get and the more mature,
and when I'm later and rich.
Well, the more seasons you get as an actress, as an actor, don't you feel like you now stick up for yourself a little more? You now will do things that you want to do, and you'll speak up if you need to. Do you feel that way?
Well, I would say 2 things have happened. I stick up for myself more, and people ask me not to take my clothes off as much.
What?
In your 40s, they don't ask you as much, and that's one of the wonderful things about getting to be 40, because people don't want to see that. So you don't even have to negotiate.
I think that's a bunch of BS.
Showing. It's true, though. Many women will tell you, they're like, yay.
I also think that as we've gotten older, one of the things that I try to do is I have better conversations before I even get on a project.
Yes.
Like I'll ask people, what's the big plan here? Like, how do you like to work? And so you're almost more on the same page. When I did Lucifer, they would have meetings with the actors at the beginning of the season and let them know what their trajectory was for the whole season. They already had it figured out. And everybody was more at ease as a result. It was a lot of fun. But I think that those conversations didn't happen on Smallville. It was moving too fast. Nobody really had time to get ahead of anything.
It was such a big machine, and you knew when you signed on. I think there was part of me as well. Like, I knew what I signed on for. I think definitely now there would be still more conversations, and I'd feel, to answer your question, Michael, like I'd probably feel more comfortable having those conversations because I know where I look back and I go, oh, I could have made sure of this, this, and this, and this. And, like you talk about a closed set or something like that. Like, there's so many things that I know to kind of look for and advocate for. But if I sign on for something that has that as part of the mechanism of the character, as long as it's making sense in the storyline, it's kind of tricky then to kind of go all of a sudden, well, I don't want to do this thing anymore. Yeah. So you should always have a voice, but you should always know what you sign on for.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a situation with an actor where I was an executive producer on the show, and we got to set and he didn't want to do something that was funny, and the creator came up to me and goes, Michael, I know you can talk to him. I know you'll be able to. And I go, me? And he was a tough nut to crack. I mean,
yeah.
And he said, can you do something? And I went up to him, and the only thing I said was, I was like, hey, how you feeling? What's going on? He's like, well, I'm not doing this. This is ridiculous. I look like an idiot. I go, look, we're not going to let you look like an idiot. This is funny, and it's not you. Your character is. I explained to him that his character. It may look stupid, but his character doesn't know it's stupid. It's something. I won't tell you what it is, but I said to him, I go, listen, here's the reality. We're on set. We got to move, and we had a table reading for this a month ago. And so these questions and things should have been brought up, and it sucks. And I'm sorry you feel this way, but he goes, all right, I'll do it. Let's go. And that's what I
He's
said.
gonna be heard.
You know, at that point, Michael, I think so much of it is that last minute anxiety that people have, that if they just feel like somebody's hearing them, it's just that last thing that happens, you know, before any of us do something that we're like, oh, we're scared, or like, you know, Tom, with your kids, like there's things that you prepare them for. And then the last second, they'll probably be like, Mom, Dad, I want to do this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But they're going to do it.
Or you establish Clark's super breath on the show and everybody laughs at you the first time you do it.
That was me.
Oh,
I had to
And
get
then you
your
have to
super
try to
breath
do
on
it.
my first episode I directed, and they called the scene before and said, we're doing super breath. And I'm like, what? How do I do super breath? And Glenn and I worked it out. And he was like, and we're like, oh my God.
it's so, you know, without any of that stuff around, I have to say, like, the small little things that I even had to do when I was on Supergirl, I was like, okay, don't laugh at yourself, because this is going to feel really dumb. And I remember, like, you just owned it when
You
you had
gotta
to do
own
that
it.
stuff. And everybody was just like, oh,
I want to
Yeah.
say, lastly, you embodied this character like no other. You were absolutely phenomenal as a role. You brought such a bright light to the show and a new twist and turn. And I remember, and I swear to God, gun to my head, that I play ice hockey with Jerry Brook in Jerry Bruckheimer's league for years, and I'm close to Jerry, name drop. But I remember Jerry said, hey, how's that girl who plays Lois Lane on your show? And I go, she's fantastic. She's a great actor. He goes, yeah, she's really good. She's easy to work with. And I go, yes. I was like, all right, that's good to know. And I know nothing probably came of it, but I remember him like
thank you.
being enamored and loved your energy and your acting. And I don't know if I ever told you that, but he told me that. And I was like, you know, I thought for sure I told you, but you millions of people adore you, and we love you, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. And thank you for saying that. You know, when I'm like having to pick up after my kids or clean their dirty underwear, I'll be like, Jerry Bruckheimer talked about me with Michael once.
You're amazing.
What?
There you
Well,
go.
will you come back? We'll need you to come back, of course.
Absolutely. Oh, it's so good to see your faces.
Talkville is brought to you by Factor. Boy, do we love Factor, and we have Factor delivered to our house every week because it saves me so much money, Tom. I cannot tell you. If you order on these delivery services, you spend so much money on fees and all this. One meal is like $30, $40. You're getting so much good food delivered to you at a fraction of the price. You're saving money. You're eating better. The meals are delicious. With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore with Factor.
Crush your wellness goals this month with dietitian-approved meals and ingredients that you can trust.
Make your day delicious from breakfast to dessert. Stay fueled with easy, nutritious options and treat yourself to restaurant-quality meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, and blackened salmon.
You keep kitchen time to a minimum. Factor meals are ready in 2 minutes. No shopping, prepping, cooking, or cleaning up.
Enjoy effortless support for your lifestyle. Choose from 6 menu preferences to help you manage calories, maximize protein intake, avoid meat, or simply eat well balanced. Head to factormeals.com/talkville50 and use code talkville50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code talkville50 at factormeals.com/talkville50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. We love you, Factor. Talkville is brought to you by Mint Mobile. Tom, I love a great deal as much as the next guy, but I'm not going to crawl through a bed of hot coals just to save a few bucks. Let me get to it. It's got to be easy, all right? No hoops, no BS. So when Mint Mobile said it was easy to get wireless for $15 a month with the purchase of a 3-month plan, I called them on it. And it turns out it really is that easy to get wireless for $15 a month. The longest part of the process was the time I spent on hold waiting to break up with my old provider. And that's the truth. It's pretty amazing. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts.
Find out how easy it is to switch to Mint Mobile and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month.
To get started, go to mintmobile.com/talkville. There you'll see that right now, all 3-month plans are only $15 a month, including the unlimited plan. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/talkville. That's mintmobile.com/talkville. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/talkville. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See mintmobile.com for details. We love this patron. He's amazing. He is our guest. Bob, let me ask you this. We're watching this episode. What was it called? Exposed. What do you think of Exposed?
Well, I'm going to go by the Welling standard.
What is it?
I liked it.
Why did you like it? Tell me why you liked it. That's important.
So this one's a bit of a transition episode for me. You know, last season we had sort of a long storyline with a tattoo, and this season we've gotten away from that. This episode, I see where we've introduced the Daily Planet almost as a character.
Yep.
And we're starting to solidify more of the Superman lore that I'm used to.
So you like that?
I'll tell you, the thing that I like is I've always known where the story went. So nothing is really going to be a surprise for me. But I really enjoy, at this point, the tension between Lois and Clark. I always knew that Lana and Clark were never going to be together. So, you know, the love trilogy and that stuff, it was okay, but it never bothered me because I knew it wasn't going to last.
Well, that's helpful because just before we spoke to you, we asked internally, we were like, so what's the takeaway from this episode? And none of us could really, this is why we like to talk to you guys, because like you have a better perspective.
Bob, I got to tell you, we really appreciate you. You've been a patron for a while. You support the podcasts, and it means the world to us. You're the reason why this podcast continues. And thanks for being a patron. Thanks for being a friend. I also love that you use AG1 whenever we refer to our friend Bob, who uses AG1, who's a patron. It's
we
you.
Talk about you,
and I appreciate it. So I'm glad it works for you. And
Hold on,
what got you into Smallville? What got you into Superman?
I was in my 50s. I actually started watching it after the series ended.
Wow.
On Netflix DVDs. And I got to be really honest. From episode 1, I was hooked.
Really?
And yes.
What was it about the show that got you hooked?
I'll tell you that what's been really great about Talkville is I'm beginning to understand why I'm hooked. The background that you guys give about framing shots, what goes into the scene. There's certain movies, there's certain series that everybody has that you could watch all the time. Whether it's The Godfather or Goodfellas. You know, when The Godfather's on TV, I feel guilty not watching it.
Yeah.
Rocky. The Rockies are right. And Smallville, the way it's done, it's the acting, it's the message. You know, something the world needs now. A little bit of hope. It's the ethics. It's everything that Clark, you know, Superman stands for.
No,
but go ahead.
I hear you. I just, you know, I know you're a fan. I know you love the show, but there's got to be episodes that you didn't like.
All right, we're gonna go there.
Give me one episode you didn't like that you agreed with me on.
Oh, well, it was the magic one that we just last season that we beat up. There's a vampire one.
Yep.
Oh, when Lana Thirst. Yeah, we weren't. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. They wanted to show that Clark / Superman is vulnerable to magic and powers beyond his control, but they were tough.
I mean, yeah, and I give it to the guys. I mean, I've always talked about it. To do 10 seasons, 22 episodes a year, and from beginning to end, there's a lot of enjoyment in there for people, and the show is loved by many across the world. And you know, I'm appreciative, man. I'm appreciative. I love that you watch every episode. Is there anything on Talkville that you wish we do? more of or less of?
I don't know. I got to say that I saw just communicating to get a patron to come on with you guys. I see what goes into that. It's a lot of time, a lot of effort.
Would you like to hear from Ryan more or less?
More. Is Ryan coming to New Jersey?
I'm trying to work it out.
On it.
I would
be
very
great.
much like to.
Tom, why don't you and I split it? It won't cost us that much for him to fly out.
Well, he just got a new Forester. I think he could put some miles on it.
He can
some
drive
miles on it.
across country.
Yeah.
Tom, we could buy him a coach ticket and a room for 2
We'll
nights.
get him
Give me a middle seat.
You give him a gas card. It'll be great. He can sleep in a Forester.
I'd love Ryan to come. We'll work it out.
It would
I'll
be
try to
good.
be there.
I'll take a middle seat in New
Well,
Jersey.
Well, Bob, this is a treat. You're one of
I
our
got one
favorites.
final question for Bob.
Go
before he
ahead,
goes.
Bryce. Bryce has a question.
From the producers.
Go ahead, Bryce.
Hey,
Yes.
Bob, if Martha Kent were to run for office against Lex Luthor, who would you vote for?
That's a very good question. I'm very torn because at this stage, Lex, I have a theory. Lex isn't a bad guy. He's still trying to be accepted by Jonathan. I've often told friends I'm a bad day away from being a super criminal myself. Like, don't bother me today. But I would be torn because Lex right now he's trying. Right, this episode we saw that him and Clark maybe been away for a couple of weeks. Clark shows up at the mansion, and all Lex wanted was like, "Hey, you could have given me a hello." Right?
Yeah.
You bring in his picture and all that. And the exchange between Lex and Jonathan in the kitchen, you can see that, he tells Jonathan, you're on your high horse and holier than thou. So he's just, there's of course that missing piece, right?
Yeah, the acceptance.
Raised by the wrong parents.
I think also that if Jonathan Kent was more of a father figure to Lex, because I had sort of surrogate fathers, if you will, that were my friends' parents that were always really nice to me and kind to me, that I think if I at least had Jonathan Kent by my side, that would change a lot of things too. But I don't even have him believing in me. I have his son's lying to me, and yet you're right. Lex is trying to do the right thing, and ultimately he goes down a dark path.
I agree with that. But let me just add that the most important thing to Jonathan next to Martha is protecting Clark's secret. It's no matter if there's a moment that he wanted to be nice to Lex, he can't allow himself. It's just, there's always that. There's always going to be that.
That's true. I understand that. I understand it. Well, Bob, listen, we love you.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Bob. All right, it's time for the hotline talk. Let's go to Michael P., patron of privilege. Let's see what he has to say. We always love our Michael P.
Hey all, it's Michael P. from Texas. In the episode Exposed, there's a really cool stunt where Clark grounds a helicopter onto a downtown rooftop using a rope. Obviously, a lot of special effects there. Or maybe not. Tom, I see you sporting those guns, so, I don't want to assume. But what kind of safety measures, what kind of permits go into pulling off a scene like this, especially in a downtown, no less? I'd love to hear more.
When I first got on the phone with City Hall to secure the permits, I got the runaround. I mean, obviously we have a whole department that does that, but I think my takeaway, which I want to tell you, Michael P., is that the helicopter was actually there. It controlled the day. I referenced earlier, it was the most important part of the day. There's a beat where it kind of moves, and the one where you see Clark pulling on the rope, it's sort of like further back, looking at Clark's back. That was Chris Sayre. That wasn't me, but he actually had a rope, and I don't know how those stunt guys do it, but they were doing it. It was very practical. And I think there were a couple sort of CGI moments in there, but for the most part, it was all there. I don't know if they shot the fight inside the helicopter on that day because I wasn't in it, but it was a big day.
Here's Scotty. What do you got for us, Scott?
Hey guys, Scott from Bangor, Maine. Question about season 5, episode 6, Exposed. Did Mr. Kent do his own driving stunts? They were absolutely amazing. And I started watching Smallville April 2024, and I've already got 2 employees hooked on it. Thanks, guys.
I love it. Tom, I'll defer to you again.
I saw John in the car. I
think
could
he
see
did.
John in the car, and I know he liked doing his own stunts in the car because he can drive like as a stunt driver. There was one shot where the car comes down and does a 180, and you just don't know if that's John or not. I don't know, but I know that a couple times him peeling out and sliding the car, that's Schneider.
Hey, this is Amy from West Virginia. I was just wondering, who came up with the idea of bringing on Luke Duke as a senator on the show and giving all those references? I thought that was great. And how was it to see John Schneider and him kind of get back into their little camaraderie there? But that was a lot of fun to watch.
Again, we talked about it earlier. We think, it was definitely probably Alan Miles who came up with it. It'd be a good episode. Bring the Duke fans in.
Yeah. The quick story, and I said this on a panel the other day with Schneider. My funny experience was we get there and Tom Opat's there and John's there and we all kind of get to set and they hug each other kind of like they do on the show. And they're like talking and they're like, yeah, we haven't seen each other in a while and all that other stuff. And then I had a question about the scene and I turned to John. I go, hey, John, and he turned to me and probably the first and only time he ever did this, he goes, you can wait a second. And he kept talking to Wopat and I was like, okay, I see what's going on here. Yeah, it was.
That's kind of what Wopat said to me at the convention last weekend.
Tom, is this like the most nervous you were on set if you were such a big Dukes fan in terms of like guest stars coming on?
I don't remember feeling nervous.
Not nervous, but like most like looking forward to shooting this.
I think I was like, this is awesome. Like I get to watch this happen right now. But then once we start shooting, I don't think it was nervous. I think it was excited. And then I realized real quick that I was in their episode. They weren't in mine.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Carl.
Hey, this is Clark from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. In season 5, episode 6, when Clark is at the club and is asked about what he wants to drink, he says he wants a Coke and then kind of pauses for a second to sound more official. He says on the rocks. I thought that was kind of a good touch to his Clark Kent side. Following that, the whole sequence between him and Lois awkwardly seeing each other in an unexpected place. How much of that dialogue and that interaction was in the script?
All of it, probably. There wasn't a lot of improvisation.
Oh, it wasn't. The lines weren't improv, but Clark's reaction was all just me playing uncomfortable. Yeah, I mean, in the script it would say Clark is very uncomfortable. You know what I mean? But that you have to figure out how to play that.
What's Caroline got here?
Hi guys, it's Caroline from Springfield, Missouri. Gotta say, two of my favorite actors were in that one, John Schneider and Tom Opat. Big Dukes of Hazzard fan from years and years ago. How did the cast do with working with both those guys, knowing that all the younger generation grew up watching them as kids? I'm sure it was kind of fun, plus all the extra driving that they got to do on the set. Thanks. Bye.
Tom, can you tell the crew, were they excited? Were people around them kind of excited when they were together?
Yeah, that totally. I mean, and it was fun to see John having fun with Tom. Tom didn't exactly like, entertain the crew. That's not his thing, which is fine. You don't need to. That's not your job. Your job is to perform. But I think everybody enjoyed seeing Schneider so happy. But in that question, I just was thinking, like, what about the 15-year-old kids watching this show and wondering who these guys are?
Yeah, they're like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Crystal wants to know, were you surprised by Smallville doing an episode inside a strip club? Yeah, we talked about that. It just was, I mean, I don't know. We had sorority girls sucking your blood. And so is it that much of a surprise? I just didn't think we'd go there, but we went there.
Listen, in watching it, it was a surprise. And it was supposed to be for Clark. And I think that's what came through. Like, it was a surprise. It was like, what?
Alternate universe, do you think you two could pass for the Dukes of Hazzard?
Oh, that's funny.
Like me and Tom?
Yeah.
No.
Just do
Tom likes wearing cowboy boots and, like, spurs and stuff like that. I could play it. I could do it. I could play a cowboy. I could play sort of a good old boy.
Or would you
You'd
be
a
like
good cooter.
the cousin from the city who has to live with, you're like the new guy in town and like you're getting used to like the rural lifestyle and Tom's going to show you around. Whipping you around in his muscle car.
I don't think people would. These guys are really handsome fellas and stuff. I don't know. Rosenbaum rating system.
And now,
let's go with Ryan. I want an honest answer, Ryan. Don't be swayed by Tom's positive energy. But what do you give this episode?
A heater.
Right down the middle.
Right
Neither
down the
here
middle.
or there. A heater right down the middle. Tom.
I mean, I got to give it a 1. Because
I knew it. I called it.
Yeah,
I'm going to give it a half a bomb. I just kind of was a little bit just like, I mean, that's good for me. Half a bomb.
I also picture like Lex Luthor just in the background of everything that happened in the scene, just going like, what are you doing?
What are we doing here?
To everybody. Like, what are you doing?
It'd be very funny just to plant Lex deep in the background of a scene, just going,
what is the deal with the Kents? What is the deal with the good old boys? Why are they driving the car like? Death and save count. One dead. Melissa gets ragdolled. One saved. Clark saves Lois through 6 episodes. 20 dead. 12 saved. Series 156 dead. 159 saved. Ryan's favorite scene.
all right.
Here we go.
There were apparently 3 scenes in this one. All right. Scene 1, Lois's dance. Scene 2, the Dukes of Hazzard.
The Dukes of Hazzard what?
Just chatting.
Like the sequence of it all?
Okay.
Where they're just having their heart-to-heart. Scene 3, the helicopter.
Helicopter's the best scene. Tom?
It's definitely not the first one because it's so out of ordinary for Smallville. The second scene, although well executed, I think that the scope of the third one, I think it's 3.
Yeah.
It is. We both got it.
Yep. It was cool. It was very cool.
Yeah, it was cool. You had some cool moments in this episode, but not enough cool moments for me to give it a heater or anything better. That's it for the episode. Stick around next week for a masterful conversation as we talk about season 5, episode 7, Splinter. And I think that I like this episode.
It was awesome. Yeah, it's awesome.
I'm going to save it. Let's take the discussion online. Let us know your thoughts on the episode over on our socials at Talkville Podcast or at Talkville Pod. Show us your support by joining the podcast. Patreon.com/Talkville. You could be on the show and so much more, and it really saves the show. So support the podcast if you can. If you want more info like merch from the show, talkvillepodcast.com. Tons of great stuff. Inside of You online store has tons of stuff too. A hotline number, you can find that in the description. And
remember, folks, always hold on to Smallville.
And we can't forget our patron privilege, our patron shout out, because we love you. Patreon.com/Talkville. If you want your name shouted out in every episode, we love you equally, no matter where your name is here. You give so much support and so much love. So here we go. Leanne P., Raj C., Thomas, Santiago M., Thomas, Tom Turner, Shane W., Sophie M., Betsy D., Abby P., Ray, Hadada, Karen Apple M.
99 more. Leilani N., Brett G., always hold on to Smallville, Estevan G., Charlie T., Garrett W., Bob K., Tom Ed, and Jason W.
Osama A., Glenda W., Lana rhymes with Banana W., Nancy D., Brian G., YVR Grips, Anna M., Amanda R., Teddy 127, Michael P., Ryan R., Jordan M., Randy B., Craig G., Jor-El.
And we can't forget Heather and Greg. I made Talkville, Say Butts, Ryan H., Eric K., Kristen B., Darth Achilles, Finky, Early is all in time, Mrs. Clark Kent. Damn, who's that? Jeanette E. and Deadvid.
General Zod, Theodore, Jem and J, Doug R., Tommy Z. Boston 68, Ken the Limerick Guy, Corey L., Mr. Home Arcade, Jesse C., Claire M., D. Brown, Karen Era M., Jules M., Eldon Supremo, Leslie V., Brian P. McBurts, Ginger Moose.
Please remember Janice from North Carolina. Christoph S., Michelle M., Amandolin, Jessica B., Sebastian. Amandolin. I used to play that in high school. Sebastian F., Wolfie. Dak Flando, Matthew and Lincoln B., and Breyer.
And Jessica B., we won't forget you. Charlene A., Marion Louise L., CGO, Cindy C., Nikki L., Shannon Fannin, Tina E., Matt Rick, Jen T., Randy S., Cassie B., Brad A., Felicia R., Danny Mo Mirabel.
JS, Mary K., Rachel D., Steve, and Nate Danger. When you're rich, you aren't crazy. You're eccentric. Rosenbaum fan Sammy Sharman. I love your stuff, Sharman. Carrie Ann, the Alexander Castle, Daryl E., Jenny B., 76, Anna B., Monica T., Jeffrey K., Pip Kenobi.
Katja C., previously on Smallville. Matt C., Keith B., Major Paradox, Cookie K., Justin, patron saint of Smallville, Libertaria, Danny Z. from Cleveland, Biagio C., Cal L. 38, Felicia B., Lady J. the Salty Ham, Murphy C., David L., Madison H., Mika, or Micah J., Tori H., JD Turkleton, Kelowna A., Zeb R.
The Wicked Stepdad. My Pups Lex, Shelby, and Kara. Natalia. Dr. JCA. Red Blue Blur 8. Dr. G or DRG. Dominic D. Brandon C. N. Ned L. Flirtatious B. Per 6. Kurgan K. Go Henker. Okay. Naman L, Gorgeous TV, Smallville for Life, and Bobby B.
Couldn't do this podcast without you, period. The end. We love you all. Thanks for supporting us and continue to do so. And we'll see you next week. Thanks, Tommy.
Thank you, sir.